Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another review on Dragon Ball Super, in which I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Super Episode 7 and review what happened during it. Well, a lot of stuff happened on Dragon Ball Super this week, so without further ado, let's get started. So let me start off by saying that last week was great. There was a lot of action, great storytelling, and stuff that we really wanted to see happen in the adaptation of the Battle of Gods film. And honestly, it was actually better in many ways than the film portrayed it in the first place. So, with all of that being said, how does Toei decide to follow up last week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? Was it great? Well, unfortunately, I have to say no, it really wasn't. Now, of course, this series has been known for changing things and dragging them a little bit out as the series has actually progressed, and of course we know that this is more of a drawn-out version of the Battle of Gods film to focus it more into a sort of story that matches the series pacing. However, when you do this, you march a very fine line between padding and slow burn pacing. And unfortunately, it seems like Super so far continues to fall into the trap of the former, padding. So again, this episode we saw what we'd already seen in the movie done better, except in this version it was done much slower and with far less impact. This episode fell into many of the similar pitfalls that number 5 fell into, taking a very short fight and skirmish between Beerus and the rest of the Z fighters and then drawing it out to be an entire episode for no reason. And as I talked about in my episode 5 review, when you take something that's very short and to the point with a significant amount of impact, like Beerus being able to beat Super Saiyan 3 in 2 blows, and in a fight that's runtime is less than 2 minutes, and then blowing it up and expanding it for an entire episode, it immediately will lose a lot of its punch and impact as a result. For example, Buu coming back again and again after Beerus has blasted him and knocked him down takes away a lot of the impact that the film had when Beerus was able to take out Buu with very little effort. Same when Beerus was able to take out all of the Z fighters in less than 30 seconds, involving when he also took out Piccolo with chopsticks. Rather, in this episode, Beerus is constantly dodging a barrage of their attacks for no reason when they would do absolutely nothing to hurt him. On top of that, when you also pad something out, you risk insulting the audience's intelligence and also hurting other characters as a result. For example, even though Buu continues to come back time and time again, the second Gohan powers up to his mystic power and goes after Beerus, he is still taken out with one blow. And although this essentially happened in the movie, albeit taking even more attacks to take out Gohan, the fact of the matter is that when every other character is going for even longer, especially Buu, and Mystic Gohan shows up and gets taken out with a single attack, then that makes him look weak and insults the audience's intelligence as a result. Especially considering Super Saiyan 3 Goku was able to do better than Gohan, even though this is only 6 months after the events of the Buu saga, versus 4 years in Resurrection F, so there's no reason that Gohan should still not be leagues above Goku. And in the end, one of the worst aspects of this episode is also the fact that they waited until the very end for Vegeta to actually power up and get angry, but then they cut it off before he could even do anything. That was an obvious teaser and bait and switch from what we saw in the last week's next episode preview, when it made it seem like Vegeta was actually going to make his attack against Beerus in this episode. And as a result, it made its viewers wait an entire episode to see Vegeta finally attack Beerus, and then they didn't get it. So overall, I would have to say that I thought this episode was essentially pretty weak. I thought that they could have done a much better job with it, but then they decided not to. Instead, they opted to do what they've been doing for most of the series so far and padding out this story far more than it actually needed to be padded out just for the sake of running time in the series and probably more advertisements. But at this point in time, what do we have to really expect from Toei? Because this sort of behavior on their parts is becoming less and less surprising as each episode continues onward. So in the end, all I have to say is the sooner they get past this arc, the better it will be for this series. And hopefully they give us something else than what we actually saw in the movies and something in between the two movies, and don't just simply jump to another more padded version of a film we just saw in theaters. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another edition of Dragon Ball Super Reviews. Tell me your own thoughts in the comments section, what you thought of this episode and what you'd like to see change in the future. Also, don't forget to check out my Ask FM, which will be in the description if you have any other questions. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better forgot to subscribe!